Good evening. It's Monday, of course, the 1st of July. The meeting today in Sydney was at Rosehill. It was the postponed meeting from Saturday, where where the meeting was washed out. We've had a lot of rain in Sydney, as everybody knows. The track today, it was given out a heavy 10, upgraded to a heavy 9. Funny thing, there didn't seem to be a lot of kickback in the track. The track played fairly well. I suppose it could have chopped out towards the finish of the meeting on the inside, and maybe off the fence was better. But there were horses early in the day that stayed near the fence and won. And of course, we had a winner. Bugaboo, who came from third last, easing off heels. It came down the extreme out, well, not extreme outside, but very wide in the straight, where the grass seemed to be longer, and in the shade, and win. So I suppose handling the conditions was no more for the Avery, please. Had a lot in your favour. But anyway, as I say, it was a postponed meeting. It's Monday. You can't. Everyone's back to, I suppose, back to work. But by the same token, it was a ghost town. There was a very, very small crowd there. We had 8 bookies, 8 captains on the fence, and 2 in the outside ring. And I suppose there would have been no more for the Avery. And I suppose, as I say, there were 10 captains in the marketplace, and we had there would have been a few robots, a couple of robots in the members, and I suppose, and I think there was a robot in the public stand. So with the captains and their staff, I suppose that'd be around about 60 of us, and there wouldn't have been. There wasn't 60. Well, were there 60 grumble and grunters in the ring? Or there might have been. Well, there wouldn't have been. Look, there could have been around about that many, but most certainly not punters. They're just it's very few people betting. It was a very, very ocean meeting. And it's funny, I don't know. You think that they would have? It was free entry. You didn't have to sling to get through the gate, and they were giving the race books away for free. Well, generally of a Saturday, the crowds, the younger people, they don't know what a race book is, of course. They wouldn't, but you think it would have been, I don't know, I would have been saying, getting on the radio, on the propaganda machine, at least saying, well, today, we know it's a postponed meeting. Turned out there were 50 scratchings, a lot of scratchings, but still 8 runners at least in every race. And you think they would have been saying, well, it's free entry, we'll give you a race book when you get there. Free, and they might have got a few more people there, but no, that wasn't said anywhere. And the gates, there was no attendance on the gates, and was just walk in, and as I say, giving the captain books away for free. This first race, they said there was 105.8 on the screen. I thought there was a bit good less than I added up only about 99 in the marketplace. And the second pick here, the second pick, Corabetti, it was scratched at the barrier. It was taking a bit of time to get into the barrier. And when they finally got it in there, it lashed out as 2 back legs got straddled over the back of the barrier, and it had to come out. And when it came out, it was a $4 chance, 3 to 1 pop. It went up about a 3 to 1 pop, got out to $4.60, back into $4. Whereas the winner, Pit Crew, it went from 225, a 5 to 4 chance, out to 280, back into starting, before the scratching of Pit Crew, before Corabetti, it was a $2.50 chance. It was 6-4, and it was 3-1 bar at the scratching. When it came out the barrier, you could still get $2.05, a tick over the even money about the favourite Pit Crew, and it was the old firm back in business. Pit Crew, trained by Gay and ridden by Nippy Nash. Of course, it was the 3-card trick, straight to the lead, stack 'em up, 1400 metre race in the form guide, but only really a 600 metre race. The race was from the 600 metre mark to the winning post. It led. Pit Crew, I own the lead. Sitting on its outside was Layabout Town, a 25-1 chance. The second horse, the horse that ran second in the race, Amatillo, it was $3.80 out to $6 before the scratching. After the scratching, a 7-2 chance, $4.60. It came from second last. It made a bit of a move after they'd straightened, looked like it was going to run up to the favourite, but the winner was far too strong and went away and won by 1.3 lengths. They got right away from the horse who sat outside the lead, Layabout Town, running third to four, beaten 4.1 lengths. The favourite getting the cash. The second race, we saw the Avery here, the favourite, get the cash as well, and that's Need the Doe. Need the Doe's rider, Nathan Berry. He was travelling very, very well in about fourth position early in the race, and he made a lovely little move halfway through the race and went and sat outside the leader. It led, I own the lead, Dana's Best, and he made a little move to go around the second pick, Medaev, and sit outside the lead. Medaev had to then got on his back and had to get past it, which it couldn't do. And when they turned for home, it was too strong in the run home, and it finished up winning by 3 lengths. Need the Doe. It got right away from them at the finish. In the marketplace, well, on the screen they said 101.8. There was just a little bit. We'd been about an even 100 in the marketplace. The winner, I don't know how they didn't get it in the fluck. There was a mile of $4 in about the winner. It only started at $3.20. It was 3 to 9 to 4. The opening favourite, Medaev, went up a 5 to 2 chance and got out to $3.60. The winner starting favourite, they ran 1-2. Medaev, as I say, was beaten 3 lengths and held on for second position, coming off the favourite's back after he let him get around it. That was about the race. It was hard to lay. Richie's Bickies, $5 out to $6.50. And there was Dana's Best. There was a bit of money for it at $6.50 after opening up at $5. It started 6, and that was about the race. The winner by far the best backed, and it got the cash. No good for the captain so far. Race 3, they returned at $4.80. The winner worldwide. There was $5 on the fence when they jumped. They said there was 107.6 on the screen at the top flucked, and but there was about 3% less in the marketplace, around about 104. And worldwide, ridden by Killer Kath O'Hara, it sat outside the leader. It led Namsarai, and Kath made a move after it was a 1900 metre race. I suppose after about well, I just forget, around about the 1,000 metre mark, she went up and she sat outside the leader. And when they turned for home, it kept on going worldwide. It was a strong win. Sitting in the middle of the field was Lucripidus, who was extremely well backed. After we put up $7, got to $7.50, a 13 to 2 chance, but came in and only started $6.50. Fairly hard to get towards the finish, and it sat midfield, one off the fence, And as I say, it always finds a line, Lucrepidus. It did run on well. It was only beaten 0.8 of a length, and hanging on for third was Scottish Border, who had barrier one, went inside runners turning for home, got a good inside run. It does handle the conditions very well. It's a very honest performer. It was beaten 1.2 lengths running third. There were runners in this race. Well, the winner, as I say, if you gave $5, which you started, you could easily lay it. It went from $4.40 out to $5, layable. Ghost Protocol, who settled back in last position and came very wide on the turn. It started the favourite at $4.40. It went up a 5-2 chance, and it eased in the betting. It was fairly hard to lay. I haven't written its name in the ledger yet. It went from $3.50, a 5-2 chance, out to $4.40, about a 7-2 pop. What was backed in this race? Well, Scottish Border, they took $12. They only started 10. Lucrepidus was 13-2 to 11-2. What else was backed? That was about it. Charing Cross never had a price. They took, no, that's right, they took $10 about Fullerton, only started 9, fairly hard to get. So it was a fairly Kleiner betting race. The winner was always firm in the market. In the fourth race, they said there was 106.2 on the screen, a little bit less in the marketplace, about 105. And Big Bonanza, number 2, won this race. He velodroned a little bit on it. Early in the piece, the Avery, Relaxed and Happy, who had the inside alley, it tried to hold the lead, but moving up on its outside from the barrier 10 in a field of 10 was the winner, Big Bonanza, and he velodroned a bit on it and got past after halfway, or not even that, after they'd gone about 2 furlongs, it got past the favourite, Relaxed and Happy, who finished up trying to come off its back, and sitting in third position was Inside Job, who also had a wide alley. It finished up running fourth in the race. The favourite got a check towards the finish, but had every possible chance. When they straightened for home, he was well off the fence, proper Peter Roble on the winner, Big Bonanza, and it got a good break on them, and it held that break all the way down the straight to win by 3 lengths, coming from back in about 4th last position in between runners, easing off heels after they straightened. Always finds the line like it did last start at Canterbury when it won, was Bardia, who was a $15 or a $16 chance out to $21. Would have been a good result for the bookies. The winner, at one stage, you could lay it at $9 or $10, but it started $10. And the favourite, I must admit, it was very hard to lay. They returned at $2.80. I was $2.90 when they jumped. I was top odds all the way through the betting. Opened up 5-4, Relaxed and Happy. And as I say, I was $2.90 when they jumped, returned $2.80, and I got very, very little section out of it. Radar down the bottom, $13 into 11. I laid 5,400 at one stage. Jimmy Up was back, 12. They took the $12. And what else was? Well, they took $11 about Inside Job, and he started 9, and that was about the race. Agent, whose rider said it didn't handle the conditions, $8 taken at one stage, but not really backed. Started $7.50, more or less didn't have a price. The winner was, even though it got out in the market, it was fairly firm in the betting. Race 5, they said there was 100. Now this is the biggest discrepancy of the day when it comes to the top flucked and the marketplace. Here I see about 10% difference here, which is quite significant. 108.5 they said on the screen. I thought there was more like 98. This is what I saw. Fumicino, I think the top fluck might be only $6. Well, there was $7 given about it. It went from 9 to 2 out to $7, back into $6. Reuben Percival, I think they said the top fluck was $6.50. Well, there was $7.50 about Reuben Percival. 9 to 2 out to 13 to 2, back into $6 or 11 to 2. Fibrillation, very well backed, settled down in last position. He got back further than he wanted to, bowl Blake Shin, explaining to the Stipes. It was $8 out to $9. into $5.50, the best back runner in the race by far. It just plugged on. It had its chance, came along the fence, which turned out to be all right at this stage. Pearl of Bells copped a bit of a check at the start, but it's roving Robert Thompson, who won on it last start over the 2 mile journey, said it might have had a hard, might have taken it out of that run. He said it was got at the 1400 metre mark, which it was. It ran last, beaten over 20 lengths. It raced so poor it wasn't funny. It was $3.30 out to $3.70, back into about $3.60. Destiny's Kiss, most probably a result for the captains. They set the return at $3.30. It was $2.80 out to $3.50, begging it to finish. Couldn't write its name, and it slid through on the fence. Came from second last on the fence, travelling very easily, turning for home, and just literally only had to go around one runner, and that was his stablemate, the leader, Fiumicino. Don Carlos, $31 all the way through the betting, 40 out to 81. The Big IM, they returned to 61, and 100 out to 201. The bottom one, to Dubai Way We Go, they returned to 100. 10% less, and the easing favourite, Destiny's Kiss, it trotted in, won by 2.3 lengths, beating the stablemate, and the others were over 6 lengths away. The Big IM running third. And that was about that race. The winner won well. Race 6, they said was 100.9 in the marketplace, about 98, a couple less in the on the screen, and a couple less in the marketplace, about 98. I had a bad result on this race. Ferrara, I had thought it would go to the lead, which it did, and by this stage, I must be a steam tug. It looked to be, as it turned out in this race, an advantage to be up near the lead, and the fence, as it now was looking that had the place to be, because a lot of horses hadn't gone near it, and it led. It didn't go fast, didn't have to go fast, Ferrara, and got a break on them after straightening, and that break was enough for it just to last and win by 0.1 of a length, beating Babiro, who most probably could have been the winner was $15.13, very well backed, and Babiro, it could have been might have been a big result for the captains, and it was a huge difference to me. I never wrote its name. It was $3.50 out to $5.50, a 5-2 chance out to a 9-2 chance for Babiro. It got behind the 100-1 chance Doublet, who was behind the leader and winner Herrera, turning for home, and he just got held up at a vital stage. And when he got clear on Babiro, of course, the bird had flown. He needed one more stride to win, but they haven't moved the winning post at Rosehill for a long time. It's still there, and that's what counts. And it was able to last. Herrera beating Babiro, and coming from last position down the outside was Eminent Domain, who, there were 2 runners in this race. It's a beauty, isn't it? Fancy having to tell the stewards, the stripes, where you're going to be. A punter pulled me up there today while I was watching a replay. He said it causes punters problems. He said, his exact words were, he said, plus he said most of the time, or that might have been exactly what he said, but he said it doesn't happen what they're going to say anyway. And in this race, they said that there were 2 runners who were going to be ridden closer. Fancy having to, it is a tactical, a race is a tactical thing. Being layman, what I'm trying to say, there are tactics involved. You just shouldn't have to. You're racing for prize money. You shouldn't have to tell. They want maps. The stripes have got their map. They got their map. One of the Terry Griffin, I think it does. He does a map for the stewards. this is going to be there, that's going to be there, that's going to be here, that's there, that's how it is. Oh, everything's sweet. Well, they said here that eminent domain and also Aneto were going to be ridden closer today. I had them, well, I had eminent domain running last, and I had Aneto running second last, and I think that's where they were. They weren't ridden. How were they going to be anyway? They settled down in they were going to be ridden closer, and they were last and second last, where everybody thought they would be. There wasn't a lot of Harara, got an easy lead and finished up winning. Eminent Domain came down the outside and ran third. Eaglestein, it went up the $4 equal favourite. Well, it actually, Babiro went up the favourite, and Eaglestein went up the $4 second pick. The top weight Oakfield Commands went up 7-2. Third pick got out to 9-2, never had a price. And Eaglestein was out to $5 at one stage. Only started $4.20. I think they'll return it under $4, but you can still get $4.20 when they jump, 13-4 chance. And Nash ran into all sorts of bother. Not that it would have won, but you don't know. He did lose his momentum and ran into the back of runners a few times in the straight. I suppose a victim of circumstances. Run that race again, and I'm sure you would get a few different results. The next race was race 7, and they said there was 108.7 on the screen and about 4% less in the marketplace. And this was the runner I was telling you earlier on, where all of a sudden was the inside the place to be. Now, maybe the last 3 races, it wasn't the place to be. Early in the piece, they won off the fence, and then in the middle of the program, where that section hadn't been used, they won along the fence. It doesn't take too long for it to get chopped up because of all the rain we've had. And then all of a sudden, I suppose, the last 3 races, the outside or off the fence was possibly better. And Bugaboo, who jumped awkwardly and caused a little bit of checking to another couple of runners at the start, settled back in, well, right towards the tail of the field, in the third or second last position in between runners. And when they turned for home, the grey horse just eased off heels. Today, what did it have? It didn't have the racing plates on. Oh yes, it did. It had the plates on today, and it didn't have the tips on. Whether that it's got problems with the feet and that could have made the difference, we don't know. I don't know, but it certainly did. Was a much better run than its last few runs had suggested. And it, as I say, settled back well back in the field after easing off heels. It came down the outside extremely wide and won by 0.2 of a length, beating a runner who sat midfield, Barra Miller, drew barrier 3, but was off the fence midfield, and it came down the outside. It was very wide in the straight as well. And the runners that got through on the fence, number 3 finished up running third, and that was Titbit, who had barrier 2, and it settled down in 4th or 3rd last position on the fence and could have been held up a little bit after missing the kick Tidbit, but went and slid through right along the fence. And also number 20 in this race, Queen's Elect, who settled 3 back on the fence and got a charm run through when they fanned, or the leaders got off, and it was only beaten 3/4 of a length, running 4th. But Bugaboo, was the outside better now and the inside a little bit worse? Possibly. The winner, well, they only returned it 14. The Bugaboo, I think they returned it $14. I had $17 on my board when they jumped, and it was I think it was a good result for the captains. Who was backed in this race? Well, Angelus, who pulled up with heart fibrillation. It was $12 out to $26. Only returned 19. It was beaten a long way. It's got a trial before it starts again. Tidbit was always $7.50. Gullible was liable at well, they bet as much as $7, but liable at that price. Started 6. Barra Miller was back. They took 13. Mickelberg didn't have a price. Needed a Signoret. Miss Reddy, $6 into $5, back out to $5.50. Del Zero layable. Sapasi didn't have a price. Houston Benefactor likewise. They took 26 Magnolia Lane. The winner was fairly hard to lay. Saramina was $18 into about 14, 13. Queen's Elect 12 into about $7, extremely well backed, and a little bit of money for the bottom one. The music's playing 71 into about 41. A result of the captains and a little bit of per there, but some runners, as I said, didn't have prices. We came to race 8, 106.6 on the screen, a good 8 less than the marketplace, losing figures about 98, and the winner here, Noidart, it was extremely well backed, went up a $5 chance, 4-1 third pick, and got out to plenty of $6, came into $5 at one stage, got back out to $5.50 when they jumped. It's stablemate Emblems, $6 out to 7, back into $6.50. Chewy Chop, $4.40 out to $5. It started $5. Machinko, 6 out to 9. Canny Ballad, 13 out to 15. Hurricane Henny, always $26. Murder of Crows. Now, this is where this race was absolutely worthless. For instance, well, Murder of Crows, they've only returned it a 4-1 chance, $5. We put it up only a $3.60 chance, a $3.50 chance, a 5-2 pop, clear favourite. We reached for it. I was $6 when they jumped and got very, very little section out of it. It didn't have a price. It was more or less 5-2 to 5s, $3.50 up to $6, and it led Murder of Crows. Sitting on its outside was Scarborough, and it hung a little bit when they turned for home, Murder of Crows, but held on only average or only ordinarily, and was beaten 5.1 lengths. Noidart, who well, a couple of us, if you could, you could easily forgive this horse for a couple of its previous runs where it's not a very tractable runner. Today it was, as Mark Sheen said, it was a little bit closer, sat in about 6th position behind the pace, got a good split turning for home. It, by the same token, just lasted Machinko, who was always looking at the leaders off the track. It finished up running second, and coming more or less off its back was Canny Ballad. Marges running by 0.1 by 0.2. Run this race again, and you would also get a couple of different results. By the same token, the first 4, I think the more you ran it, the winner would come from one of those 4. The last race, they said there was 103.3 on the screen, and in the marketplace there was about 5 less, about 98%. The winner, even though it got out in the market, it was always fairly firm. We put it up a $4.80 chance, Merlin Mustang, ridden by the perfectly balanced Rodney Quinn. It started $6.50. Even though it got out in the market, it was always there was section for it. There were plenty of runners in this race where there wasn't any section. There wasn't any section for. Well, these were the Flux. Kinnersley, number 1, 20 out to 31. Contiki Park, I think they returned at 19. Well, it was $8.50 Contiki Park out to $26. Bold Glance, 10 out to 13, back into 11. Cup of Tea, the Avery, settled well back, ran fairly poorly. It was $3.50 out to $4.20. I think they only turned at $3.90. It was $4.20 begging to finish. Merlin Mustang, I've told you. Travolta, runner resuming for Gay. Gay had a few runners, or 4 runners in this race, and it was the one they put the cash on, and they weren't far wrong. It settled back, well back in the field, Travolta. It did win first up once before. It was $6 out to $8.50 given. It only started $4.40. Extremely well back, $4.60 Travolta. Was well back, went very wide before the turn and wider on the turn. By the same token, it was looking at the winner maybe giving it about 3 lengths start at the top of the straight, but the winner safely held it all the way to the line, beating it by 1.3. But Travolta's run was extremely well backed, good, and it was also extremely well backed. Wild and Proud, it was $26 into 17. Samui Lad, 20 out to 31. Viking Legend, always 81. Mr. Armstrong, 9 out to 950. O'Reilly's Prize, 26. I laid 5,200 at one stage, $21 a started. Sacred Flyer, 15 into 13 to back out, $16 when they jumped. Laid it for a bit of section, and Cavallo, 26 out to 51, didn't have a price. The winner always sort of, even though it got out the market, always sort of firm. It got it was up near the lead 3 wide. Mr. Armstrong racing a bit keenly on its rider, the rider stated, which it did, and the perfectly balanced Rodney Quinn, he got on the back in the 3 wide line on Merlin Mustang, and when they turned for home, this big striding runner, he waited until he got the horse balanced, Rodney Quinn, and he was out in the middle of the track, and he rounded up the leaders fairly quickly, halfway up, and you could see that halfway up the straight, at least, the race was all over. It was going to win. Travolta came from well back, and sitting running third, which might have been the place to be, was Bold Glance. It was from barrier 2. It was third on the fence behind the leader Cavallo, and was a bit close to the fence. It was beaten 2.1 lengths. The inside might have been a little bit worse by that the last race. By the time the last race came along, that was about the meeting. As I say, not many people there, and oh well, that's the game at the moment. We've got Warwick Farm Wednesday, Wyong is on Thursday, meetings tomorrow, of course, and Friday, and then we have the Saturday. Hope the weather holds off. Good evening.